Hello, this is Boris speaking. This is just a short video to explain about the BPA Quality and Risk app, the document management module. So I'm just connected here on the Discovery platform. Everything I will do now can be reproduced easily by just accessing this Discovery platform. You can ask us for an access if you don't have access to it. So here I'm just connected as admin profile and checking here the compliance document library. As you can see, all documents will be in there. Usually we have one library. You can have many libraries if needed. And these are the documents that will be shared with the whole organization. That's my compliance documents. Whatever the format here you see, we have Word, Excel, Visio documents, or any type of format. These documents could be also converted to PDF if needed. Then we would need to keep track of the source and converted documents. It makes things a little bit more complex. However, we can automate this with Power Automate. Power Automate will be used for the document approval and distribution process. This is something we can basically share what we have, so you don't have to start from scratch, because we can import Power Automate workflows from a tenant to another, so we can start from there. Here the documents are displayed with attributes like identification. The workflow will give these numbers. We can use dynamic columns to concatenate or let's say publish some unique identification numbers. The document status, you see here that documents will be added as draft, then will be edited until ready for approval. And once we start the approval process, then usually the document cannot be let's say modified, and the approvers will get alerted to approve the document. Then the document will be validated, maybe by quality. So approval will be mostly a business approval, a validation mostly a quality approval, and then the document will be finally published, and recipients that are contained in a distribution list, so group of users or business units, will get alerted that a new document has been published. The versions will be tracked automatically by SharePoint, so you don't have to manually handle these versions. It will simplify your administration work here. Also, we have an electronic signature add-on that you can optionally use. And here, for example, these columns can be displayed as other columns. However, here we have these displayed in our quick eye mode. So by clicking the quick eye, I can check who has approved, who has validated, who has published. So the user with the meaning of approval and timestamp where when these documents have been approved. Great. So now, obviously, you can start adding documents from templates. This would be the standard content types from SharePoint. You can start from a SOP, work instructions, could be Word, Excel documents. However, this might be sometimes a bit difficult for end users to understand, because when you start from here, the Word document opens or the template opens, or Excel, and then sometimes users get lost where they have to save this, what do they have to do. So to make it easier, we could, for example, start from a configured page where you have your templates here. So I will just, where is my scroll bar? I have no scroll bar here. So I have my document templates here on the right. You see, usually end users cannot change these templates. Possibly some process owners could add new document templates. You could also have some kind of validation rules when you had a new template. I have a SOP template as Word documents, maybe Excel templates or PowerPoint templates. You can add as many templates as you want. And on the left side here, I have the same document library like just before. However, when I start from here, you can give maybe some instructions to end users how they have to start with a document template. So basically, they can create a new document here and select the right template they would like to start from. So that's the template we have on the right. For example, here my SOP template, and this will trigger now the Power Automate workflow to create a new document based on the selected template. And this will be automatically added in a few seconds. Once the workflow has started, I will have a new document that will come here as a draft version. So we'll wait a little time until it's done. So now it's done. You see that the template has been added, has been copied here in the document as a draft version. It's not yet, the workflow has not yet started. However, I can now edit the document properties. I can, of course, change this into my documents. For example, I'm preparing an inspection SOP. So I will put this as a title for my document. I will maybe save this as a draft. Later, once I submit for approval, you see here that usually we use this as a trigger. I can work on the draft as long as needed. I can also invite users to collaborate to edit the draft. But once I'm ready, then we could submit for approval and the approval workflow will start. And I can select one or many users or a group of users to approve the document with maybe some notes. And I can save this document properties. So for the moment, I've just updated the properties from the selected template. And as you see now, the workflow has started, has given a unique identification number to my inspection SOP, which is currently at the draft version. And if I open my document from here, I can open with Word or with Word Online. You can also check that the template, it's loading. So this is a different document here in the background. So it's the template has been uploaded because we use quick parts, and quick parts can retrieve the attributes, document attributes. Any document attribute you have can be retrieved as a quick part in the document content. So in this case, you see that by giving a name to a title to my document, then this has automatically replaced the document template title here. Also, the version has been automatically updated. And once I will sign the document, then the electronic signature will be also visible here. So I will just close. Of course, I could edit the document. I could format the document, put some content in the document. I can also share the document by using the standard sharing features from SharePoint. For example, invite some colleagues to edit or to view the document. This is very practical to work. Many people can work jointly on the same document. These are standard Word Online features. And once I'm ready to move to the next step, then I can, as I told you before, just select that I want to submit the document for approval. and that admin here, myself, should be the approver to keep it simple here for this scenario. So the workflow now knows that it has to move to the approval status. So it takes a few seconds or minutes until the workflow starts. So Power Automate workflow are usually are not starting each seconds, of course, but each 2, 3, or 5 minutes, then these workflows will start, and you can trigger when the workflow should start. For example, each time the document is modified, or once it's created, or different triggering options are possible. Just refreshing here to check whether it's still at the draft version, and maybe between its before it's starting, I can show you the compliance document Power Automate workflow over here. So you see that we have different sections for the different stage of the document. Once it's added as a draft, then it's going to be approved, validated, published, maybe revised later on. So here you can define conditions and actions for each of these steps. For example, here, verify that we are at the draft stage. And once a document is added as a draft, then we will update the document that has just been updated before with a unique number. And here you see we can have dynamic content from the SharePoint columns here. All SharePoint columns from my compliance document library are available as entry data, for example, for this identification. Here the document status will be draft, and any other metadata could be updated in the document. Also, for example, this is really an example. It might not be the case for you, but in case you want, for example, a specific Teams of user using Microsoft Teams to be alerted that the new draft document has been added, and invite these guys to take a look at the document and maybe participate, co-redact or co-edit the document, then you can do so, right? So these are just examples of interface we can build with other Microsoft Office 365 technologies. Great. So if I come back now in my compliance documents, it's still a draft here. The workflow has not yet started. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Then it's going to move to the approval stage. Also, once I refresh my homepage, you see here, anyone that will connect in the tool will have an access to their own documents, either documents to approve. The approval status was updated. You see the workflow has been triggered now, and I can see that because I'm here the approver, I have my pending documents to approve or to validate, or maybe to work on as a draft here, right? So what I have to do here, I can do several things directly from my homepage. I could, for example, update the document attributes, maybe select here who should validate this document after once I have approved. You see here the form just displays in read-only what has been submitted before by the predecessor in read-only. And here in this case, just select who should validate this document. Of course, these columns may be changed accordingly. You can create your own attributes or do whatever you want here. And then different ways to do it. It's very flexible. However, what we usually do here is to let the workflow know I have finished my work. We can sign using electronic signature. I showed you before these electronic signatures. The way to sign here is just by taking the drop-down menu on the item and add your own signature here, maybe with a comment, optional comments, and by clicking approval here, and I could re-enter my password to sign electronically. In this case, the workflow would move to the validation step. You can do so until the document is ready to be published. Also, when a document is to be approved or to be validated, the related persons get emails with a link, for example, here. You can format these emails like you want. Link to document, link to a signature page. And again, these documents are visible in your homepage. Once you move to the distribution step at the end, all recipients that will be mentioned in the distribution list will get an alert. And in this case, we might use the approval feature from Power Automate. And this allows you to send formatted emails like this one. So end users can, of course, open the document by clicking the link. They can give some approval or rejection comments, or let's say I reject this document because something is missing. And we will collect these approval and rejection comments in BPA. That means that if I go back here in my compliance document library, for example, for the HR procedure here, that has been approved, then I can view the different people here, recipients like myself or other users that received the version 1 of this HR procedure that have rejected or approved these documents with specific notes here. So we can consolidate this content for a document. You see here also the document changes. For example, when someone wants to propose changes for a document, then this would be done here in this page. So we track all changes in a central place for the document. And once the document responsible will revise the document, then we'll be able to take a look at all changes that have been proposed. Also, for your information, when we go in the compliance documents page, usually we set revision dates. So for each of these documents, they are published at a specific date, and they will be revised maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years later. You can define this interval, and then automatically you can also set a view to view, for example, documents that need to be revised because the next revision date has been reached or is overdue. Also with BPA in the settings here, you can configure reminder rules. That means that once this next revision date is reached, as a document responsible, I get alerted automatically. Or I can set this view in my homepage so that once I connect, I can view the documents to revise in my homepage. So this is well, different things that we can do because all is very configurable. Now, obviously, we have also the version history, but that's standard SharePoint features. If you enable this audit trail, then you have all details about who has modified what for each version, and you can always also view, restore, or publish, unpublish major versions and minor versions. So this is all modifications are tracked. And once the document has been distributed, automatically a major version is published. Usually the minor versions are not visible to end users, only the last major version is visible. So for example, this inspection SOP is not visible until it's published. Great. I think it's all I wanted to share with you today. PDF conversion is possible. Could be a step to be added in the flow in case we need PDF conversion. So this is also possible. So many flexibility here on how we would like to set up this document approval document management system. So I hope this helped for your understanding. Let us know if you have any other questions. Thank you very much.